Hey guys, it's Vampire Mike from Sega CD Universe. So, first off, I'm wearing this shirt to honor Glenn Danzig, who is reconciled with the Misfits. Never thought that would happen, huh? Very weird. After all these years of anger and hate and bullshit and interviews, and now Jerry Only and Glenn Danzig are like, we're old now. Let's be friends again. Let's go do a tour. We need money. So, this video is going, and I'm sure you know this from the title already, is going to talk about, it always looks like I have a lazy eye. Which one? This one. This looks a little squintier. Is that normal? Probably not. Maybe I have like Down syndrome and don't know it. So this video is going to talk about the some of my movies that I really enjoy that are guilty pleasures of mine. Movies that may have gotten panned or people might say, ugh. The only movie I'm probably not going to include because I think some people do really enjoy it, and I wouldn't really deem it a guilty pleasure, is Revolver by Guy Ritchie, because that's one of my favorite movies, but I think other people really enjoy it too. I think the ones I picked are more kind of cheesy or things that are like B movies where Revolver really wasn't. Once you have Jason Statham in a film, it's not a B movie. So here we go. First and foremost, I'm gonna talk a brief period about each movie just so you kind of get the gist of it. We have Death Games. It says on the cover, it's Mad Max for the new millennium. So I was in one of those stores that gets rid of things cheap and has maybe like last year's whatever, Big Lots, and I ran across this and bought it for a friend. There's like kind of a joke, and we watched it. And I kind of liked it. And he really didn't. He liked it too, but he didn't really care. So I think I traded something for it and got it back from him because I wanted it, and I didn't know what to expect. I love Mad Max and the Road Warrior, so it's a Irish, I believe, like Mad Max ripoff. So my buddy Dean from Escape to Gaming, who I mentioned previously in another video, check this out. If you want a bootleg, I'll burn you a copy and mail it to you. But or maybe just download it. I don't know, whatever you want me to do. It's these people in Ireland who run like this weird circus where they like kill people and fight people in the show, and they like take this guy on and he gets hurt and they have to give him like robot arms and there's some like young girl who's like the headmaster or the circus master's daughter who like cuts herself and hurts herself, and I think the headmaster isn't really related to her, he just kind of adopted her, so he like molests her. There's like some weird shit going on, but it's supposed to be like post-apocalyptic, kind of like the future's fucked up, everything's bad, and there's this like traveling circus that this guy becomes a part of, like this conspiracy, and it's not really Mad Max. It's just a really cheesy, like low quality post-apocalyptic movie about this traveling circus and this like stuff they do where they make people fight and like kind of like gladiator type shit. So it's kind of cool. It's had some elements that are interesting. If it was done, much better, it may be like a really cool movie. But overall, it just ends up being a weird, really like cheesy, like schlocky post-apocalyptic bite. But I like it. So check out Death Games if you are in the mood for a shitty post-apocalyptic flick. This movie, or these movies, I should say, I've talked about before, so I'm not going to talk about them too much. I kind of recently did a review on them both, and that is Samurai Cop 1 and 2. Samurai Cop was an old like buddy cop movie from '91 that was like a B movie, really cheesy, weird lines. The guy has a wig on it like half of the film because he thought the production was done, got his haircut to do other movies, and then came back and they were like, he's the director or whatever, was like, you ruined my fucking film, you have no hair anymore. And they threw him on in a wig. So it became like a cult classic. Definitely a guilty pleasure of mine. I think I love the sequel more though. And the sequel is way more self-aware, way goofier, makes a little less sense, has a lot of shit crammed into it. But if you like the first movie and if you like cheesy buddy cop films, then I would recommend the second film. It's weirder. It's much weirder. But lots of cool like little stories behind this movie and that movie. Sort of like I said, cheesy buddy cop. This one has some porn stars in it. And yeah, just really goofy, like a fun movie night with friends. I would say Samurai Cop 1 and 2 are definitely up there for guilty pleasures of mine. Next, we're going to have a movie that I was sort of on the fence about putting in here. I think some people love it. It's really a movie of its time, and that's Hackers. I love this movie, and every few months I'll throw it in and watch it. It's so cheesy and like 90s. Everyone's like got sunglasses on, and these like computers that are really old now. They're talking about like 28.8 modems and all this old technology, and how they're like these cool hip hackers, and they have these silly names, and it's definitely a period piece, and I love it, but it just kind of like strikes that nerve for me of like nostalgia when I was a kid of like being into like the Matrix and computers and things kind of just developing. So if someone now were to watch this, like a kid now were to watch, it'd be like, what the fuck is going on? But Hackers just holds like a special place for me, and I can kind of throw it on anytime and just enjoy myself. So another movie in that same vein where it was a kind of a period piece, or not a period piece, like it's like a British period piece, but a movie of its era is Johnny Mnemonic. Another like movie about computers and hacking. This one's way more futuristic than Hackers. That was supposed to take place in the 90s. This one's supposed to be like 2000X or whatever. It's based off of a William Gibson short story, where this guy, Keanu Reeves, I'm a huge Keanu Reeves fan. Keanu Reeves' character is a data. He stores data in his head. Can't think of the word right now. A mnemonic courier. There you go. Duh. He stores data in his head, and then he goes to another country or state and then gets the data extracted out of his head. So it's kind of like instead of shipping something out or mailing it or whatever, you have a courier who's doing it in their head with their hard drive built into their head. So lots of cool themes, interesting characters, cool settings. I like the special effects. I like the story. It just has a really big amount of cheese to it. If you really like Johnny Mnemonic, or they always reference this to The Matrix, but The Matrix is just a better film. If they would have did this a little more serious, maybe, a little less goofy, a little less tongue-in-cheek, and the Japanese cut is a lot better and a lot more, it makes a lot more sense. So if you get a chance, check out JM, which is the Japanese version, that cut, because that one really is like a better movie. But this, for me, this and Hackers kind of go hand in hand to pieces that came out that, like, if people were to, like, kids now were to watch them, they'd go, what the hell? But they're really cool, if you like cyberpunk stuff, check out Hackers, but more so, check out Johnny Mnemonic if you're a cyberpunk fan and like that kind of B or cheesy flair. I will always throw in movies like this, Street Fighter and Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers, excuse me. Anytime they make a movie from a game, it's usually really bad or really goofy. And I mean, Jean-Claude Van Damme's in this. If you haven't seen this, Raul Julia, supposedly one of his best performances. They tried to make a Street Fighter story, which is crazy, into a movie, and they tried to make Mario Brothers realistic. I don't know what to say about these. They're just straight up bad guilty pleasures. Like Mario Brothers is like, these real plumbers that go into this dinosaur world, and Dennis Hopper's like King Koopa. And there's all these people that he's turning into dinosaurs, and he's trying to take over the world and jump through into the other realm. It's just crazy. I mean, it sort of makes sense considering the Mario Brothers like story, but it's just so wacky and nuts. And Bob Hoskins has said before, like, this is the worst movie he's filmed. He hated filming it. I think he said he was drunk for some of it because he couldn't stand doing this like stupid film. It's just wacky, like Double Dragon too. I should have pulled that out. That's another guilty pleasure of mine. Double Dragon's so bad and so cheesy and over the top and goofy that it just holds a special place for me, because movies like that don't come out too often. And it seems like we were in this period of, like, I guess it was like the 90s or early 2000s, probably the 90s, where like they were putting out all these movies based on games and trying to cash in on it, and none of them were really great except, I would say, Mortal Kombat. And I know the Resident Evil films kind of caught on, but Mortal Kombat was probably like the best video game movie, or one of the best video game movies. These are just like weird and cheesy and over the top and just such guilty pleasures. You have to like bad movies to like these. Let's see here. We're getting down to like the last five or six. I don't know who knows this, but I'm a big Corey Haim and Corey Feldman fan. When I was a kid, watching The Lost Boys and The Goonies and all the other films that some or both of them were in, I just, double switch on the Sega CD. I just became a Corey Feldman fan and a Corey Haim fan. So these two, Double O Kid, it's kind of like, think of a teenage, 90s movie, like really like everyone has tude. Everything's over the top, and he's like a gamer spy. It's just really cheesy. And Nicole Eggert is in it too, and it has all like those 90s tropes. I would also throw in like Fast Getaway. Like anything really with Corey Haim in it is just goofy and cheesy usually after his initial like famous ones like License to Drive, The Lost Boys. Then he just started doing like these cheesy kind of like teeny bopper type movies, I would also include Prayer of the Roller Boys in that, which is like a futuristic post-apocalyptic movie where like these roller skating gangs are like going around and like spreading racist cheer and hanging people and killing people and shaking people down for money and selling drugs. So like if you like Corey Haim and like really cheesy movies, check out the Double O Kid and check out Prayer of the Roller Boys. And on the very low end of the spectrum, I don't know why, I love this movie, National Lampoon's Last Resort. It's got really stupid humor. It like doesn't make sense at points. There's gratuitous nudity. It's about these guys where one of them goes to the uncle's resort and is trying to like fix it because the resort is going downhill and doing really poorly and it's going to be closed. So he goes there and tries to like spruce the place up and make it more of a tourist attraction. And they just have all these crazy things happening and some other guys trying to like take over the resort and they're trying to stop them. It's nuts. It's just nuts. And it's something you'd see at like 3 a.m. and be like, what the fuck is this? And you just leave it on. And I just happen to think it's so bad it's good. But it's definitely not like a good movie. So, I mean, anything really with Corey Haim is usually my bag, I also have to definitely put in there Troll 2, which I have a little fortune cookie here that I got one night when I was watching it years ago, and I'd eaten Chinese food. It says, keep your goals away from the trolls, and I thought that was very apropos, so I threw that in the cover. Troll 2 is a sequel, in the loosest terms, to Troll 1, which was like a kid's movie about these people living in this apartment complex they move into in the city, and there's a witch upstairs turning kids into trolls or some shit. This is ridiculous because just like The Room, this and The Room are probably the two best worst movies I've ever seen. But it's a guy from Italy, so it's a guy from another country translating or making a movie into English, and it kind of doesn't come out right. It kind of goes through that machine of translation and sort of spits out incorrectly. There's no trolls in the movie. They're all goblins. They're all like, little people. There's a troll queen or a goblin queen or whatever. Just crazy scenes that don't make sense. The goblins are turning people into plants so that they can eat them because they don't eat meat. But the people are turning into the plants, so technically they are eating meat. And the only thing that could stop them is meat. So there's a whole scene about bologna or something. The family's nuts. There's these really weird one-liners. It's just amazing. If you've never seen Troll 2, it is a great, like, horror, cheesy B-movie night with friends. This is, like, so up there. It is. They have a documentary called The Best Worst Movie Ever about Troll 2 and all the screenings across the country they do. It's crazy. It's I can't do it justice. Me explaining it just isn't doing it justice. But I saw it as a kid. Kind of creeped me out as a kid because I was like 5 or 6. No, I had to be older than that. It says 91, so I was born in 83. So what is that? 8 So I was probably saw it when I was like 9 or 10, and it just no, I had to see it before that. I remember seeing it in the Bronx. I had moved out of the Bronx when I was like 10, 9. Anyway, really creepy movie, really weird movie, and as a kid, it creeped me out. And it's just strange and goofy, and like you almost can't believe like someone made something like this. So definitely check out Troll 2 and Best Worst Movie, the documentary about it. As I mentioned, another movie that I feel was like translated um, through from another person who's not from America is The Room, and I love The Room. To Mike, Love Is Blind, Tommy Wiseau, he signed that for me, and we watched this last night, so I had to talk about it. The Room is like it's kind of a movie that paints the main character as some sort of a martyr. He's good to all of his friends. He's taking care of like the apartment complex retard. He's saving people from getting hurt. He's getting screwed over by his girlfriend, his fiance, his future wife, who is cheating on him with his best friend. Like, there's a lot of like him trying. He's like this great guy, and everyone's kind of taking advantage of him. But there's a lot of weird lines, a lot of weird inflections, things going on. Like, wait, why did that happen? Why is that not explained or touched upon anymore? Weird characters that like come in and come out, and you're like, what the fuck was that? So definitely a good bad movie. I would say the two best good bad movies I've ever seen are The Room and Troll 2. They are very different than one another, but I think you'd be great with either one of those. You definitely have like a big laugh with friends. So another character that or actor that always seems to be in good bad movies, or used to be, is in I guess better movies now that he's become famous or more famous over the years, is Arnold. Hercules in New York is, I think, his first film, and it's about Hercules coming down and living amongst the, humans, and befriending a nerdy Jewish pretzel salesman named Pretzi. I kid you not, and going around New York and having these like misadventures with him. And his accent, his Austrian accent, was so bad they overdubbed him in the original version. But then eventually, when he got famous, they put it out with his voice, which I think this has in it. Yeah, Arnold's original classic. Yeah, featuring Arnold's original track. They originally made it in English, like with some other guy speaking over it, because they felt you couldn't understand him at all. And it's just so cheesy and schlocky and just nuts. I mean, it's just nuts. And he's traveling around New York with this guy, and they befriend each other, and he meets a woman, and like it's crazy. It's like a really crazy B movie. The Running Man, probably one of my favorite Arnold movies. If you were to talk about like great Arnold movies, you'd probably say Predator, Terminator 1, Terminator 2. He's done a lot of great movies, and he's still doing good movies. The Expendables was cool, and a couple movies he did with Stallone were cool. This is one of the ones that like feels like a video game, and it eventually was with Smash TV, but feels like a video game, feels like a TV show, feels like a crazy B movie. In the future, they take prisoners and put them on a game show where these crazy, like, sadistic people go and watch and stuff, and they kind of run them through a gauntlet, and they'll make them like go through like a maze, and like someone's chasing them and trying to kill them, and they'll kill them on because they're not really killing them, but they are in the movie. Kill them in this game show, and people will watch and bet upon who's going to die next, and it's very like crazy and over the top. Doesn't seem that far off from where we are now, actually. And it's also based on a Stephen King, I believe, short story. Has a very cheesy flair to it, but also has very interesting ideas. Sort of like the way Johnny Mnemonic, has interesting ideas and an interesting plot, but had a little cheese in it. This has a lot of cheese in it, and great characters, cool action, some cheesy effects, and lots of cheesy one-liners. One of my favorites is he's kind of getting a leg up on the host of the TV show, who's like running the whole game. It's Richard Dawson, I believe, and he grabs this monitor, this like camera, and he's looking at Richard Dawson through the other side, and he's like, I see you're eating lunch or whatever the fuck. Richard Dawson was eating a sandwich. And he's like, I hope you leave enough room for my fist because I'm going to ram it into your stomach and break your goddamn spine. And he just breaks the fucking monitor on the floor. It's got these great one-liners, great ideas, cheesy, like 80s, 90s, futuristic special effects. It's really great. If you've never seen Running Man, fucking check it out. It's funny, it's interesting, the action's cool. Anything with Arnold is good. Fuck you if you don't think so. Oh, I'm out of coffee. Shit. So, anything with Arnold is just awesome. I don't know if he's really done like a bad movie. Anything with him just is interesting. And finally, this one I also picked up at Big Lots on a whim for like $2. And I'm a fan of Adrian Paul from the Highlander TV show. Bokeem Woodbine has been in some okay stuff, and Bai Ling is usually pretty bad, but she's been in some okay stuff, like Samurai Cop 2, for instance, which also has Tommy Wiseau from The Room in it. So if you're a Tommy Wiseau or Room fan, check out Samurai Cop 2. The Breed. The Breed, it's like almost really good, but just doesn't have the budget, it seems. It's about how do I put this? There's vampires, and the vampires are coexisting with humans, but they're kind of looked down upon and considered like evil. There's a lot of like social commentary going on, sort of like Planet of the Apes. That might be why I like this movie so much. And the vampires looked at as being evil, and they're supposed to like live distinct and separately. There's throwbacks to like Nazis and Jews, with the Jews being put in camps and the vampires being like shoved into a corner and kind of taken advantage of and like shit on. So there's that going on, that tie-in, but kind of a cool dark movie. Has like a futuristic feel, but has like a throwback feeling. I think the story was really cool. I don't really like Bokeem Woodbine too much. I think he overacted in this. I thought Adrian Paul was pretty good. But if you like vampire movies and you don't mind like that B-movie flair where you could tell the movie wasn't really made for a ton of money, I would definitely say to check out The Breed. I think this went under like a lot of people's radar. And it's just a pretty cool film about like vampires and like I said, social commentary, and there was a little bit of a love story in there and some action, but not for everyone. It's not something you'd like watch. I think it's an A+ masterpiece, but there's lots of these movies that have good elements that they just didn't maybe do 100% or didn't have the budget to do 100%, but it's still a good movie with good ideas. So check out The Breed. These are my guilty pleasures. These are movies I know are not everyone's cup of tea, or didn't do well, or people are like, what the fuck am I watching? So let me know in the comments, or if you want to make a video reply, what some of your favorite guilty pleasure films are. We all have them. Something that comes on 2 in the morning and you're like, oh, I'm leaving this on, and you just kind of sit back and watch it. So I hope I shed some light on some movies you might not have seen. And tell me if you know any of these, if you like any of them, what some of yours are. Thanks, guys, for watching. It's Vampire Mike from Sega CD Universe. Be good.